Dogworks Radio is sponsored by Alaska Dogworks. Check out their website at alaskadogworks.com. From First Paw Media, sponsored by First Paw Coffee Company, this is the Dog Driver Show. Visit our website at dogworksradio.com. Now here are your hosts, Robert Forto and Kourosh Partow.
Hello and welcome, everybody. This is Robert, and I'm here with my co-host KP, and we are the Dog Driver Show. And today we have a musher calling in from the Fairbanks, Alaska area. His name is Ricky Taylor. KP, what do you know about Ricky?
Ricky Taylor and his brother Greg and his family, actually, they are definitely mushing royalty in Alaska. A very, very long heritage of sled dog racing in interior Alaska. They've done it all: Onac, Rendezvous, Toke, all the races, all the major races. They have a beautiful dog program and a phenomenal competitive kennel. I had the honor to meet both of them during the Onac and Rendezvous class act people. Both of them very, very open. They give you all kind of advice for like someone like me who was a rookie. Ricky, thank you for inviting our invitation and being on our show. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you started with sled dogs.
Yeah, me and Greg been around dogs all our life. My dad, he came up in the service from North Carolina, and he got interested in dogs, and so that's all I've known as dogs all our life, I mean, he raced against the greats, like Lombard and Moulton and all them guys. I can remember just being a little kid in an old house we grew up in, over there talking, and we're all eating, snacks, pepperoni. It just felt like, they were like God to you, So like, it's been our whole lives,
Ricky, when was the first time you were on a sled? Do you remember?
Oh, God. 8, 9 years old, or probably even earlier than that, because sometimes, back in the day, it would get like 50, 60 below, and my dad, he'd get out there. He got pneumonia one time, so he'd send me and Greg out. We had huskies then, all long-haired dogs, and he'd send us out. And heck, I can remember looking in between the handlebars, and to see. My dad, he'd bundle us up and send us out there. So we were 8 years old, just old enough to hang on.
That is awesome. Ricky, I talked to a lot of big family names in Alaska, like Earhart's, for example. Some of those or like the Charlies, they were talking about their dogs. Majority of the dogs that were coming from the trapping or working lines, basically. Your dogs, if I remember, they're all bred from the beginning for racing. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. When my dad was doing good, he got they call him the German Hound, because there was this guy named what was his name? Reinhard Rupert. He lived in Nenana, and he had this dog, and some little old scrap dog come and bred it. My dad took the dogs, and he had these hounds which called the German Hounds, and he did really good. I mean, for that era, he was right in there with George and all of them. So that's where a lot of our lines came from. But they weren't a very excitable dog. I mean. You'd have to. I mean, he'd go out really slow and get him rolling, But I could remember one time he was racing against Gareth, and Gareth's dogs were screaming, and it'd take like 10 people to hold Gareth back, and it'd take 10 people to get my dad up to the line, But he did good with them.
That is awesome, Ricky. You been running Onac, Rendezvous, or Greg, your kennel basically for as long as I remember. Do you recall how many Rendezvous and how many Onacs your kennel has done?
Oh, geez, man, it's hard to say. It got to be, 20 or so. Greg did most of the racing. I've always been the man behind the scenes, and training the yearlings and stuff, and so Greg did most of the racing early on, and Greg always did really good for that era. He was always in the top 3, He always, we always had about 6 super dogs and another 6 that were just floating along, but it probably right around there, 20. That's just off the top of my head. Could be more, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you a little story. One time, he was just old enough to race, and him and Dick Tozier, Christine's dad, and my dad, when they first started getting in put Greg on the runners, and they went down there. Greg said they ran 3:14s, and they were ready. 3:14-mile runs, and they sent him out there, and my brother is, he's got a lot more experience on it than me on that, but I've always, ever since my old man passed away, I kind of inherited all the expense, and so we went through some really hard times, I can't even put my finger on what caused it, but it was about 13 years there. I couldn't even finish the Rendezvous, but that's all behind us now, so the only bad thing, Kourosh, we're getting the best team we ever had, and we're getting old,
That is
hard to hold on to,
That is true. Ricky, from the time that your dad and yourself or Greg raced Rendezvous or Onac and today, what type of evolution do you see in the dogs, in the techniques, in the trainings, in all of that?
No, like I say, when my dad was racing, he had those German hounds, but then a lot of the dogs were more husky, but ever since and there's a guy named Charlie Bassett. I don't know if you ever heard of him. He had these, we call them Bassett hounds, and some of those dogs turned out to be pretty good. They're more, short-haired, black and white, blue-eyed, but ever since Eggle came along, he raised the bar so high, Kourosh, and it, to tell you the truth, when Eggle come over, it hurt racing because the bar got raised so high that a lot of the village people just said, we can't do this, but the expense and everything, and when it what it takes to be the top 3 in the Rendezvous and the North American, it's a big step, even from 16-mile races when you're out there, and then you never know what the conditions are going to be. It could be 50 degrees, it could be 10 below, but we ain't seen a lot of that in the races here lately. But that's pretty much. And when Eggle come over, and then we had dogs that you had to you kind of had to make mind a little bit, and then you see Eggle and people with dogs that are beating you, especially when we're having those health problems in the yard, with smiles on their face. So me and Greg just totally changed our thinking, and just, bred for desire and, endurance and, it's everything. You want dogs to eat, drink, that can run in the heat and, carry a good 17, mile an hour average for, 27, 30 miles, That's it. It's a special dog to compete in the Rendezvous in North American, for open class racing. It takes a big commitment. Me and Greg, we couldn't do it without each other. I think a lot of the expense, but without Greg catching the fish and stuff, we raise our dogs on fish that help. Plus we get beef scraps from the Fort Wainwright, and a lot of people they see our kennels, they come off from the down the hill here, and they swing right in the yard and throw stuff out of their freezer, So in the summer, it's pretty much a maintenance diet, You don't know what you're going to be feeding them,
And you still maintain the traditional diet. When I say traditional, like the fish and as their main source of diet during the summertime and during the racing period, or you're doing a lot of like the more kibble and powders and beef and stuff?
Yeah, I keep it. We try to keep it pretty basic, Kourosh, because I don't know if you knew Heine Winter, and he told me one time. I asked him what he adds to his feed. I don't feed nothing but meat and kibble. I can't tell a difference. I mean, all that stuff is. I mean, sure, you want to do some things to help with splits and stuff like that, and psyllium, and I could tell you the truth. Angie kind of copied Engel's diet, and I try to give him wheat germ, I give him MSM, and just stuff like that, but last year I kind of, to tell you the truth, the high price kibble and the stuff you get for the Nutrinuggets, I really can't tell a difference either, So I tell you, I try to skimp, but I want to feed them healthy. So I mean, I use a lot of moose meat and fish, and then I'll just go to Costco and just like the Nutrinuggets, and then we'll get some beef, which we save money on. But with the COVID, it's really hurt us. We're not getting that much beef fat. And then the salmon run fell short, so that hurt. Everybody, a lot of the native people. Us here. Because we feed a lot of fish. Had to buy it this year.
That is crazy. Yeah, I talked to Jerry Wood from Chistichina not a long time ago, and he was saying exactly the same thing about the fish runs. Ricky, you've been in the top races, as we talked about many times, or your kennel has been. Tell me some of the cool stories, and what are like the best memories of your Onac and your Rondi or your Toke races?
Yeah, to tell you the truth, Kourosh, more of my good memories were when my dad was racing, and Greg, because, I mean, the kennel is just now starting to come around, because, like I was telling you, when Greg was kind of getting tired and wanting me to take over, I mean, man, I was like a pit bull ready to get in a fight, I mean, I would get out of my way, but I don't know what it was that hit our kennel, but it hurt us for a lot of years, and it hurt me, it hurt me physically, mentally, financially, it put me in the hospital, the stress, so, but, I mean, I did have one good run, and, there in between those years, and like I say, now it's starting to come back up. But a lot of my good memories were just being in there. Greg always being right there. And then my dad, and and all those guys, Gareth. Just being those were the really good times for me when my dad was involved.
So
because it was a family deal, Chris. I mean, my dad got us started in this, and sometimes you wish you never did, but it's like being some kind of drug addict. You get hooked on it, you can't stop.
I heard about that, like a drug addict,
yeah,
you get hooked on it.
We'll be on walkers around here saying, we'll get them next year,
Next year.
So, Ricky, I have a couple of questions for you before I turn it back over to KP. And you talked a little bit about dealing with COVID this year. A lot of the folks that we've talked to are obviously dealing with the same thing. And your show is going to air pretty much right before the racing season. A lot of the folks that we've talked to before, we had to speculate, so we didn't know what was going to happen. Starting in January is when things start really kicking off for the races and whatnot. What are you doing to prepare right now here at the end of December as we move forward to that racing season?
Well, I mean, we're a little bit behind, because we don't know what's going to happen. It doesn't sound like there's going to be a rendezvous, but we got all these nice dogs, so we're continuing on. I mean, Angie told me you were already running 16s, Kourosh. I'm still on 10, so I'm about ready to jump to 14. We got plenty of time, but so we're just staying on course, and seeing what's going to happen,
Right. So the next question I have for you, Ricky, is the question I ask all of our guests, and I'm really interested to hear what you have to say since you've been involved with this your entire life. And that is, if somebody came up to you and said, "Hey, Ricky, I want to get involved with the sport, and can you give me one piece of advice?" Whatever style of racing they want to do, whether it be 4-dog, open, Iditarod, whatever, what would you tell that person?
I would tell them breeding, go to the source, go to the proven bloodlines, we've wasted a lot of years through the years, this one here, its great-grandfather was a super dog, and, the odds aren't there yet. It just, if you want to get started, go to somebody that's got proven dogs and get yourself a female and look around and study people's dogs at the race. Study their leaders, because that's what you need, leaders. You can't push a rope, You breed for them front-end dogs.
That's great advice for sure. KP, before we close, what else do you have for Ricky?
No, I wanted to. I agree with Ricky and keep an open mind, especially for bigger races for Onac, your rendezvous stuff. I recall, like he said, Greg, they're always keeping open mind. And I was parked next to them guys actually a couple years ago, and Ricky came over and he was asking about my dogs, which are completely different than his, and he was questioning, what we are doing, which as a champion, as tailors, I was honored to be questioned about my dogs. I was like, wow, tailors asking about my dogs, which proves that they are, they're at the top of their game. They are open-minded, selective, and they want to, go faster and faster and further and further. No, he's 100% right in what he's saying. Ricky, I wanted to thank you for the time you spent with us. I really appreciate having you with us. It was a pleasure chatting with you as usual, and looking forward to see you. Hopefully, we have some races going down here in Anchorage Bowl, and see you and Greg come over, and we can hang out and race each other.
Sure, yes, definitely, Kourosh.
Excellent. Thank you for being on the show today, Ricky. And on behalf of my co-host, KP, this is Robert for the Dog Driver Show. We will see you guys next time. Goodbye.
From First Paw Media, this is the Dog Driver Show. We hope you enjoyed this podcast, and we invite you to subscribe in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. You'll find a link on the episode notes. You can tap or swipe on the episode cover art, and you can see some offers from our sponsors. You can support our show by supporting them. If you like what you have heard, we would love it if you could give us a 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe too. Your hosts are Robert Forto and Kourosh Partow. Our producer is Robert Forto and created for First Paw Media.